All throughout the world, the people prepared for a special day to which no others compared. Christmas Day was but an hour away, and everyone's excitement shined on their face. But in a little house that was colored in red was a boy with a diamond for a head. And just like his head's color, he was feeling blue, because he knew this Christmas episode was...
Hey, wait! What are you doing in my review? And what's with all the rhyming? Who the hell are you?
Why, I'm the narrator, and I'm here to Christmas up your review. I know this is territory that is kind of new for you, but trust me, a holiday rhyme is just what a Christmas review needs, so I've come to help you. Consider this my holiday good deed.
But this review doesn't need to be in rhyme, it's Road to the North Pole.
What, you think that's something I don't know?
Well, clearly you don't. This episode scarred me when I was a kid. Sure, there's pros to it musically, but everything else makes me sick. The animation is disgusting, the plot is incredibly dark. This whole episode is just one big, messy Christmas story arc. I can't stand this episode, and I don't look forward to reliving it. I'm not excited in the slightest for this piece of shit. So, what do you think you're pulling making this review more upbeat? An episode like this doesn't deserve that kind of respect, if you ask me.
I know this episode isn't anything like Dr. Seuss, but it's an episode that's trying to give Christmas a different view. So if you want to do this episode proper, you should pay it the same respect. Give the audience a review that they would never expect. Try to make this review as festive as it can be. That alone can be humorous in its own way. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I gotta say, you make a convincing point. I guess that could be something people would enjoy. And since it's Christmas, I guess something like this doesn't seem too out of place. Alright, you've convinced me. Let's get this review underway. The episode opens with a live-action scene of Seth MacFarlane's dad, giving the audience some pleasant visuals in their head.
Anyway, Seth came out of my penis, and now he made this.
The episode then shows the Griffin family preparing their Christmas list, and with the catchy song too, which is quite a pleasant dish.
Jessica Biel and Megan Fox wearing nothing but their socks is all I really want for Christmas this year. All these happy wishes and lots of Christmas cheer is all I really want this year.
Santa's got his work cut out for him.
I absolutely love this song. It's a classic from the show, and it's not hard to see why. It's not only catchy, but it makes great use of all the characters from Family Guy.
Wouldn't I love a tinker toy?
And a little drummer boy. He can either tap his drum or my rear.
But this is the cheeriest and most Christmas-like this episode is gonna be, because shit's about to get real dark now. Please pray for me. Brian takes Stewie to the mall to see jolly old St. Nick, but the line is absolutely flooded with kids. Brian tries to warm up to Quagmire, his arch-nemesis of the show, so he and Stewie won't have to wait in line all day, because boy would that blow. But Brian fucks it up by jumping to conclusions about the little kid that Quagmire has with him.
Hey buddy, you here to see Santa? Yeah, I hope you've been a good boy this year.
That little guy is my niece, Abby, you douche. Her hair's short because of the chemotherapy.
Uh-oh. Oh, come on. I didn't know she was dying.
Who said anything about dying?
Uncle Glenn, am I dying?
No, sweetheart, you're not dying.
And there's another hint to what path this episode is gonna go down, filled with controversial jokes that would make SJWs frown. So when Stewie and Brian finally get to the front of the line, he closes up shop and leaves. Jeez, what a waste of time. Stewie is furious about this, as one should predict, and demands Brian drive him to the North Pole to get vengeance on the dick. And Brian initially refuses. Until Lois reveals this.
Everyone, Quagmire's niece is in the ICU. Yeah, apparently something happened at the mall and she took a turn for the worse. They don't know how much time she has left.
All right, let's go to the North Pole.
Brian tries to trick Stewie by driving him to a neighboring city that has a place called Santasville, and boy is it shitty. And no, it doesn't fool Stewie, which honestly Brian should have known. And Stewie reveals he has other plans for Mr.
Topo Gijo.
I'm going to kill Santa Claus.
You know that Topo Shisho line was a reference to Ed Sullivan, not a name for Santa Claus, right? That was the name of some creepy puppet he had on his show once. Boy, how's that for something to keep you up at night? But seriously, Jem, learn your facts before you make a review. That's a mistake you repeat a lot. It doesn't exactly do favors for you. Make that your Christmas gift for all your fans to better your channel, because I think at least one mistake per review is way too much to handle.
Hey, I thought you were here to narrate the video, not criticize my work. I didn't ask you for any advice. God, now I'm feeling irked.
Jem, no need to be mad. I'm just trying to help you better your stuff. You shouldn't take a simple bit of criticism so rough. You're supposed to be a critic, so give what you can take. If that was enough to set you off, then you should stop reviewing. Today.
Okay, you got a point there. Sorry for getting snippy. It's just that revisiting this episode has left me feeling shitty. I'll take your advice to heart, like any good critic should do.
Apology accepted, Jem. Now continue your review.
Stewie takes Brian at gunpoint, demanding he drive them to the North Pole. And Brian almost tells Stewie that there is no Santa, but backs out because... I don't know. He tries to tell Stewie that the North Pole might not be what he'd expect, which isn't a total lie, but how can he still show Stewie that kind of respect? Dude, Stewie has a gun to your face. How are you still dancing around this? Even with all of that, you still couldn't tell him that Santa doesn't exist? Okay, I know he does in this episode, that's all good and nice. But Brian doesn't know that at this point, so what is he trying to hide? Stewie, of course, doesn't believe his explanation and continues with the mission by hitching a ride with the trucker. Well, damn, that was fast.
I blinked and missed it.
But Stewie sabotages the mission himself in what's kind of a weird joke. He sets off a flare gun engulfing the truck in fire. Without smoke. Come on, really, you couldn't add that in? Oh, well, there it is. But I can't help but wonder how Stewie could be so dumb. If this mission means so much to him, then why is he playing with the flare gun? I guess we can chalk it up to a child's curiosity, but stretches like that can sometimes make episodes atrocities. Anyway, Brian wrecks his car trying to avoid Stewie's mess. Jesus, Brian, can you tell him Santa isn't real now?
Yes. Stewie, you're putting me in a hell of a position here, but I have no choice. You're not going to kill Santa Claus because he doesn't exist.
Oh, this was the hell of a position, not just one scene ago? I guess Brian values his car more than his life. Well, that I should have known. Stewie doesn't believe him, basically calling Brian a doof, and he uses arguments that only YouTube commenters would use.
Who else isn't real? You gonna tell me that Elmo isn't real? Huh? SpongeBob? Is he not real, Brian? Is SpongeBob not there at the bottom of the ocean giving Squidward the business? Educate yourself, you fool.
Stewie makes a deal with Brian using Lois's boobs as royalties, so both of them hitchhike to the North Pole to continue the story. A friendly Canadian comes by and offers to give them a hand, and, okay, I admit, this scene's humor isn't too bad.
I don't suppose you're from AAA, are you? Who? AAA, you know? AAA.
Oh, AAA? Hey, I just came from AA.
No, not AA, AAA.
Yeah, that's what I said. AA.
I admit this scene is kind of stupid, but in a good way. I just enjoy the pun centered around this Canadian's A. It goes on a tad too long, make no mistake, but the payoff is kind of funny, because he also gives them his leg.
Why'd we take his leg?
Well, we're in their country, Brian. We have to observe their customs. Oh dear.
I can't explain why that scene works, for me it just does. But, in all honesty, that's something I wouldn't expect most people to love. As Stewie and Brian continue their travels, they get caught in a snowstorm and almost unravel. Lucky for them, they come across a rundown house just in time, and wait out the storm as they stay there for the night. But now comes the part that has haunted me for years. The worst of this episode is slowly drawing near. Brian and Stewie arrive at the North Pole, and, much to Brian's surprise, Santa's workshop actually exists. It wasn't a lie. But as they enter the doors, a horrible sight meets their eyes, because a rundown, horrifyingly looking factory is inside. Stewie knocks on the door, and out pops jolly old Saint Nick, looking heavily depressed, gauntly, and very sick. He even begs Stewie to kill him, which makes Stewie lose his killing urge. Well, I must say, for someone like me, that's a nice lesson to be learned. Santa starts giving his backstory, explaining what caused him to become that way. It's because the world's population kept growing, causing so many things to change.
We used to make wooden choo-choos and rag dolls. You ever try to make an iPod?
You could always buy them at Walmart. Santa shows Brian and Stewie the inside of the workshop, and it's every bit as horrifying as you'd expect it to be. Santa had to increase production by getting more workers, and he did that with...
inbreeding.
Dude! Oh, but it gets worse. That's just the appetizer to your horrors. Santa also reveals that the elves' lives are complete torture.
It's gotten so their instincts take over, and near the end, they just walk out into the snow and die. Then the reindeer eat them, which has turned the reindeer into wild, feral creatures with a bloodlust for elf flesh.
The boy sat there watching those elves get eaten, and just like that, PTSD memories came a-creepin'. He remembered watching this when it first aired, and remembered on that day. These scenes hurt him so bad that even his soul could feel the pain. But was that the case here? Has the pain just increased? Well, I'll let him explain if that pain is yet to cease.
Even to this day, this scene is so hard to watch. The animation style is so frightening. I'd get more joy from being struck in the crotch. Brian tries to pass blame for these conditions onto Santa himself, but Santa states that he's not the one to blame for what's happened to his reindeer and elves. And this transitions to the episode's strongest point, the Christmas Time is Killing Us song. Now this song, I really enjoy.
But now instead all we're feeling is dread because Christmas time is killing us.
In my opinion, this song sums up dark material being used in all the right ways. It's something that I feel people will remember for the rest of their days. This song really captures the parts of Christmas that so many shows seem to avoid, and that if Santa were real, it'd actually be a time he'd never enjoy. Even though it's a dark and unpleasant song that will likely turn the majority away, to me, it's a song that just grows more and more true every Christmas day.
Because Christmas time is killing us. Killing us! Christmas time is killing us.
A doctor elf, who seems to have luckily avoided any inbreeding, tells Brian and Stewie that Santa's health is gradually receding. Santa won't be healthy enough to deliver Christmas on Christmas Eve night, and attempting to do so will guarantee that Santa will die. Brian offers to fill in for Santa, and Stewie agrees to help him with the gifts. But something happens that makes their hopes seem really grim. The reindeer won't fly, for what reasons I really don't know. But Stewie figures out a way to make them go. He cuts off the arm of an elf who's waiting to die. Man, this episode is dark as sin. Just Jesus Christ. So they get to the first house, and it goes about as well as you'd think it'd go. They get caught and basically kill the family. Oh no. This is yet another big reason this episode is despised by a lot of viewers. This scene is so messed up, and it portrays Brian and Stewie as massive wrongdoers. They kill 2 adults and they leave the little girl bound up. But then they realize that they royally fucked up. They were in the wrong house and committed a home invasion, before finally seeing what put Santa in his horrid condition.
It's gonna be light in 6 hours, and we have to deliver to the whole rest of the world!
No wonder Santa lost his mind. This is ridiculous. We can't do this.
Nobody can! It's inhuman!
So they leave the house after causing so much pain and suffering, and head off to report Santa's condition to everyone on Christmas morning.
The reason there was no Christmas this year is that this man is sick. Very sick. And he needs our help. He's been bludgeoned by years of greed and avarice. The workload of filling our Christmas lists has overwhelmed him. And at the rate he's going, he may not make it another year.
Now, most people who see stuff like this happen lose all feeling for the main characters. They don't want them to succeed, and honestly, I don't know what's scarier. The fact that Family Guy went this route after already showing tons of disgusting imagery, or the weird fact that, well, it didn't totally kill the episode for me. I know it sounds strange, and don't get me wrong, this scene is horrible. It's a scene that goes way too far, maybe more so than the rest of the episode. But watching all of this back, I gotta say, I feel like I've gotten a different view of this episode watching it today. I'm not feeling as disgusted, I'm not feeling as furious. In a way, I'm starting to understand why this episode is doing this.
As the boy watched the episode, he realized something strange. All the scenes he hated when he was younger still remained the same, but it wasn't as bad as he remembered from years earlier, because now he understood this episode's humor. He watched as the episode concluded its final message that people need to be less demanding to keep Santa from going to heaven. The people all agreed to be less greedy and decide one gift is all they'll be needing. So the episode shows next year's Christmas, and everyone is satisfied with what they received, and Santa and his elves' lives finally appear to be back at ease.
And that's Road to the North Pole, one of the darkest Christmas episodes I've ever seen. So, I guess the biggest question is, does it have a negative effect on me? Well, the episode is no easy watch, that much we can all agree. It's got so much that'll drive people away since it's dark and disturbing. But, as I look through this episode again this Christmas Day, I got a totally different feeling for it, I gotta say. I understand its dark and messed up humor even more than I did years ago. I relived horrifying visuals I thought my psyche would never let go. I see that it's portraying Christmas the way Christmas is in this day and age, and it does that in one of the most unique and dark ways. It's kind of like South Park, the dark and raunchy humor being used to teach a lesson, but it's still in a unique Family Guy way that they deliver their message. It's not a South Park wannabe like so many of their season 12 episodes tried to be. It's an episode that's all its own, and it was kind of surprising. While most will hate this episode, and for reasons I can very easily see, I can't help but appreciate its way to stand out. It was pretty interesting. I can safely say this is one of the only Family Guy episodes that managed to age like wine, because its portrayal of greed and selfishness harming others seems to get more spot on over time. While I still wouldn't call it perfect, in fact, it's more hit or miss, in my eyes, this episode has slowly improved. It's, well, quite an amazing dish. Well, that'll be it for me. I hope you all have an excellent Christmas day. Merry Christmas to all. Now I'll be on my way.
And with that, this video is now all but through. As Jem Reviews would say, thanks for watching. See you in the next review.